The Ancients' World. Chapter 131, The 14,000-Mile Journey 8. I wake up as the heat makes me sweat. This is a hot morning, and now I'm going to be taking another bath. I lean up in the tent and see that Hailey is still knocked out, heavy sleeper much. I open the entrance to the tent and feel the warm air. Talk about weather getting better, I walk over to the fire and it has no warm coals this time. No matter, I walk over to the stream we set up camp by and unequip my items. I dive in and enjoy the cool relief. I find water to be the greatest thing ever. Not only does it have several uses, it's the main thing people have to stay alive. I begin to scrub my armpits and attempt to clean them. While it's not perfect, it's better than nothing. Too bad I don't have any soap. Man, that would be awesome. Why is it so damn hot? I hear my sister yell from inside the tent. The reaction is reasonable in opinion. I look towards the tent and see her crawl out covered in sweat. She looks around to see if she can find me. I'm over here, Hailey. I wave my hand so she can see where I'm at. She locks eyes with me and she looks completely miserable. Damn, Hailey, you're not looking so good, she growls lowly at me. She pulls herself out of the tent and makes her way to the stream too. She indicates for me to turn around and I do. She jumps in a couple seconds later and pops back up. You should have woke me up. That tent is like a mini sauna and I don't even know how that's possible. I don't really listen to her, but I get the main point she is making. That it's super hot, and it makes me wonder if the seasons are changing. I'd start sleeping outside by the campfire if it's going to be this hot. When are we eating? I'm starving, just so you know. It's like taking care of an adult child. I roll my eyes at her and she just chuckles. We'll eat after I'm done cooling off. I caught some crawdads yesterday and I want to see how they taste. She looks at me weird. Hey, seafood is pretty damn good if you know how to cook it. However, I don't. But there is no better time than today. If you don't want any, you can always have some of the deer meat. When I say that, her expression changes. It's a battle between crawdads and deer now, and I think she'll choose the crawdads as her next meal. I scrub my body some more to get as much grime and gunk off as possible. Not to mention sweat from this hot morning. After a few minutes of washing, I get out of the water and go to the campfire in my underwear. I'm not dry yet, and I'm not going to put leather on in this heat right now. I pull out my sword and pick up a random rock. I create some sparks the old-fashioned way and I get a little fire going. I place twigs and dry leaves until it's big enough for branches. I pull the dead crawdads out of my inventory and put them on some sticks. I hold them over the fire waiting for them to cook. The food will be done in a little bit. We each get 3 crawdads. I focus on turning them and cooking them right. I've never had crawdad before, but one thing's is for sure. I don't care how it tastes. I'm starving, so that means it's time to eat whatever I can get. I hear Hailey make her way out of the water and she take a seat next to me. She is wearing a peasant shirt and grandma panties. Shut up, I don't want to wear any of my gear right now either. You don't know how easy you got it being a guy, it's so freaking muggy. She fans herself to try to cool down. This fire probably doesn't make anything better, it's necessary for food though. I look at the crawdads and they look almost done. I take one off a stick and bite into it. It gives a nice crunch, then the delicious juices fill my mouth. Its meat is rich and I can say this is nice despite being cooked over a fire. My sister sees me enjoying it and grabs one herself. Wow, this is way better than I thought it'd be. What did you do to make it so good? I shake my head in an indication I didn't do anything. She accepts that and proceeds to devour the rest of her food. I eat my delicious crawdads in the same amount of time she does. I don't feel very full with only 3 crawdads. I still have dried deer meat to dig into though. I look at my sister and see she is still hungry. I'm having some more deer meat. I'm not full enough after 3 crawdads. Do you want some too? She looks apprehensive, she likes deers too much to eat their meat. If you don't want any then it's more for me. She glares at me and holds out her hand for some. I take 2 helpings out for both of us and enjoy the protein. The more I eat this deer meat the more I realize the true deliciousness of beef. Don't get me wrong, deer meat is good. The cow is much better though. So are you going to hunt another deer when we run out of food or are you going to go for something else? That is a good question. Deer is the most common animal I've seen so far, and I don't want to chase down small game. Rabbit doesn't sound so bad though. I take a bite of meat and quickly devour it. I look to Hailey and see her waiting in slight anticipation for my answer. She really hates eating deer. I won't say no, Hailey, but deer is easy to spot and hunt. I could go after smaller game like rabbits. She looks at me like I'm a psychopath. I guess rabbits are out of the question. If we come across anything that might be a better option I will, but I'm making no promises. She nods her head in agreement. We finish eating the deer meat and I look into my inventory to see how much is left. I have enough for 2 days. So I'll start hunting again soon and find us something to eat. Let's get ready to leave. Are you okay with flying at max speed again today? We have a little under 11,000 miles to go. If you can handle an all-day flight then we can knock off thousands of miles. I watch her contemplate if she is okay with that or not. She looks to me with a fire in her eyes. Let's give it a try. Flying 14 hours at 430 miles per hour will cover tons of distance. I'd like to get back to the continent fast, and if that means I have to suffer some then fine. I admire my sister a little more now. We can cover 6,020 miles in 14 hours, that will cut our travel in half at this point. I re-equip my gear and so does Hailey now that we are dry. I walk over to the tent and pack everything up and place it in my inventory. We make sure the fire is good and dead before we take off. I toggle my wings on and she hops on my back. I leave the ground fast and reach above the clouds. Okay, get into a safe position, Hailey. Flying 14 hours at 430 miles per hour will be tough on you. She listens and leans on my back. That is the safest position for her to be in. I flap my wings hard and I quickly reach max speed. Let's crunch out some real distance now. While Sarah and Hailey are making great progress, the rest of the Adamo family is doing the same exact thing. Christian is having a discussion with a man named Erickson. When I was approached by Sir Erickson I knew I recognized him somewhere. He is the one that wanted to speak with Sarah. I wonder what he wants now. So mind telling me why you wanted to speak to me? Sarah left a while ago and he isn't coming back. He has his back turned to me as he looks out over the city. He wanted to meet on this skyscraper, and I'll admit the view is nice. From what I've come to learn he is a guild leader. He sighs and throws some pebbles over the edge. You know how special your son is. Every person in the city knows his true identity by now, and that's why I'm talking to you. I want you and your family to join my guild. I knew that was the real reason, but I didn't think we would have been so transparent. Sarah is in fact the divine class holder everyone has been searching for. I don't want to talk about this, but I figured it would happen eventually. Chapter 132, The 14,000-Mile Journey 9. Sir Erickson does have a lot of pull and connections, not to mention he'll help us get stronger if we demand it. So hearing him out won't be a bad idea. I can say that out of all the people that I've met here so far you are the only one being upfront about what you want. He looks at me with a neutral face and walks to my side. If we are going to join your guild I'll have to discuss it with my wife. We are partners and we make our decisions together. If you could give me a day before I answer. That would be fantastic. He smiles at me and has a very understanding look. I goes into his inventory and pulls out a paper and pen. He writes down some instructions. Here. Once you've talked to your wife let me know. I know because my Riley would tear me a new one if I made a decision like this on my own. Take as much time as you need. He hands me the paper and it has places where I can find him during the day. I'm a very busy man, and I don't stay in one place throughout the day for too long. I hope to hear from you soon. With those final words he turns around and walks away. The walk up here took a while and I want to enjoy this view a little longer. This could be a golden opportunity to get stronger. I'm thinking it's a good idea, but I need to talk to Violet first, her opinion matters most to me. I lean against the rail to the skyscraper and look in the distance. Hailey and Sarah left. Even when he isn't here he is causing trouble for me. He must have gotten that from his mom, she knew how to make things tricky when she wasn't even around. One of her charms to me. I turn around and make my way off this roof myself. I walk down the stairs for several minutes, and in the confined space I realize something. The church is looking for Sarah, and if so many know about him one is bound to go straight to them once the teleporters are up and running. The good thing is the news is only confined to our city. There is no way that I can do anything to stop that, and once it happens Sarah will have a lot of heat on his tail. I make it to the ground floor and exit the massive building. I pass some people in the lobby, many are just getting up. It's going to be a hot day out today, and that means it's going to be a good time to get some work done. I make it to the building my family and I are staying at and I make my ascent up the stairs. This day has had enough steps. I eventually reach my floor and I notice that it's warmer up here than down on the lower floors. I make it to our room and I see the two people I love sitting and waiting for me. My wife spots me and gives me a beautiful smile. Ever since we regained our youth everything between us has been fireworks. We haven't had a chance to do anything sexual, but everything else has been nice. What did this Erickson guy have to say? Now the hard part comes. I'm not going to try and convince her it's a good idea, but I want her to keep an open mind. She gets up and makes her way to my side as I look at the paper he gave me. He wants us to join his guild. I told him that I'll discuss it with you before I give him an answer. This is a great chance for us to get some help and make leaps in our strength. She looks at me with skepticism. I did leave out the part that he wants us because Sarah is our son. I'll be fully honest. He is offering us this because Sarah is the one everyone is looking for. She gives a sigh and relaxes her body slightly. Violet has been emotional for a very long time, and seeing her calm like this makes me a little more than worried. I don't know, Chris, you make good points about us getting stronger, but I don't want to be used like this so he can get to Sarah easier. I completely understand that and agree, this offer isn't without risks. On the other hand, it's not like anyone is strong enough to force Sarah to do anything. So I think it's a good idea, if anything we are the ones getting something out of this. That's my brilliant wife. I'm glad that we have a plan now. I'll inform Erickson tomorrow, in the meantime it's grinding. As Chris, Violet, and Marcus begin their grind the day quickly passes and the sun is beginning to set. Sarah and Hailey are preparing to land and set up camp. I dive down to the ground and land. Hailey jumps off me and proceeds to vomit everywhere. She vomited after a few hours flying at full speed, but she held out the whole 14 hours at 430 miles per hour. Now we have less than 5,000 to go. I walk over to her and rub her back and hold her hair for her. Least I could do after the trooper she's been. We can expect to reach a large body of water soon. Once we do we'll take a whole day to rest before we travel across it. I don't know how big it will be. Hailey is still in rough shape. I pull away from her and I set up our camp for the night. She has finished puking, and now she is leaning against a tree with her eyes closed. The tent is all set up. If you want to lay down in there it's ready. She squints her eyes open and looks at me weakly. I walk over to her and pick her up. Just relax. She struggles slightly. She stops after a single futile attempt, must be way more exhausted than I thought she was. I carry her to the tent and place her inside gently. I look at her one last time and see that she is already asleep. The body heals the most when you are asleep. I proceed to make a campfire and rest myself. The sun will be setting in a few minutes, marking the end of this day. We made huge progress today and I have to thank Hailey for that. She stuck out the discomfort and really hung in there. I close my eyes myself and think about things. I can't stop my mind from circling back to what the system has been doing. It's like the system has evolved drastically. I open my quest log and see all the ones I still have left to do. I haven't made any progress on the 2 I have in the Kingdom of Belvia. Both the false one and an abomination are connected. If I do one, it will lead to the other. Since an abomination is epic grade, it might make the false one easier to complete if I get any information with it. However, I could end up making the false one evolve from legendary difficulty to divine. That will be a bane for me. I won't be strong enough with the divine mana aura yet, but I'm still heading to Belvia. The progress I'm making is unbelievable to other players, but to my own standards I've stagnated. I'm also to blame for it too. I'm more than likely the cause for all this. My actions have deviated the timeline and now I'm facing the consequences. I look up at the night sky since the sun has set. Ancient's world is the home for many now, and more were lost than they were saved. I wonder how many truly died. I suppose turning to dust is better than dying horribly. I feel the warm crackling fire to my left. I turn to look into it and I feel more relaxed as I do. How much must I suffer? I hear my sister groan out from inside the tent. Her stomach and head must still be turning. Once I get strong enough, I swear I'm paying you back for all this. Sarah, having a goal like that won't work. It's based off pettiness. I release a sigh and relax once again. Hailey will be the 3rd strongest player right behind Stubbed Toe. She has potential to really make life better for humanity. I could do things too, but many consider my existence special. While that may be true, it doesn't make it any less annoying to be treated as such. I stand up and walk over to the tent myself. I open it and step inside. Let's get as much rest as possible tonight. We are doing the same thing tomorrow. As I say those words, my sister holds back her puke. I hope she feels better in the morning. Chapter 133, The 14,000-Mile Journey X. I wake up to the heat once again, and I notice it isn't as bad as yesterday. I lean up from my spot and stretch my body. I look over to my sleeping sister and notice she isn't nearly as miserable looking. There is a much higher recovery rate here in Ancient's world. That works out great for us. I let her rest and I exit the tent. She probably doesn't want to eat anything today. So that means more for me, doesn't it? I sit next to the dead fire and pull out some deer meat and I quickly devour it. While Hailey sleeps, I can go out and search for some food. I toggle my wings on and I burst from my spot. I weave through the trees and vegetation. I quickly mark the campsite before it's out of my map view. I focus on hunting now that I won't get lost. I search for a few minutes and see markings of elk. They have marked the trees in the area with their antlers. They don't look too old, and I doubt they aren't that far away. I look for tracks and I find some. They are fresh too. I follow them while moving extremely fast. I reach a clearing in less than 10 seconds and see a bunch of them. I want a big one and I see the elk that looks the best to me. I draw out my sword and burst towards it in speed it can't dodge or react to. I immediately go for its neck and cut off its head. It dies a quick and painless death, and as I do that the rest quickly make an escape. I don't think Hailey would appreciate me gutting and cleaning it at camp. I don't have a butcher class, so that means this is going to be a rough-looking job. I'm sorry I'm about to mutilate your body, elk, but it's the only option I got. I spend the next hour doing my best to get as much meat out of it as possible. I've got us enough elk meat to last us a long time. I look at my blood-stained clothes and I strike a resemblance to a murderer. I would clean myself off, but I don't have the means to since there is no water around. I hope I don't give Hailey so much of a scare. I put the meat in my inventory and make my way back to camp. I start up the fire again and stick the meat on the ends of sticks. I place them over the fire and let them cook. If I had a chef class these would turn out great, but instead they will be rudimentary and tough. Food is food though. I hear shuffling coming from the tent and I hear my sister's voice. I'm tired of waking up covered in sweat. Why is it so damn hot anyways? It's not like the sun has moved any closer. She must not know physics and astronomy. While I can't say I do, I know that planets tilt on their axis while orbiting stars. At least Earth did. That must be what's happening here. I didn't know that ancient's world had a solar cycle. The seasons did change, but I figure that was just in the game's programming. Now it means that this is a solar system. That's a cool thought, and also a little worrying. I've got us some food, Hailey. Come on out and have some with me. I yell for her to join me and the tent entrance opens. She sees the food on the fire and gives me a grimace. I figured you wouldn't want to eat once we started traveling again. We'll hit an ocean soon enough, so we won't be flying 430 miles per hour all day again, just a few hours. Her face literally turns green. It's the first time I've seen this in person. I do feel bad for my sister, she has had it really hard. I'm not going to eat anything today, Sarah. You finish breakfast and we can leave. The sooner we get to the ocean, the sooner I get a full day to rest. Don't even think about talking smart with me either, I'm not in the mood. Message received. I take some of the elk meat off the fire and check to make sure it's fully cooked. It's done all the way through. I bite into it and notice that it's a little better than the deer meat. I finish eating and put the rest into my inventory for later. I let Hailey rest for as long as she can, so I disassemble the tent slowly this time. After a few minutes I have everything ready and I look at Hailey. It's time to go, Hailey. This journey is going by much faster thanks to you being a strong-willed person. She gives me a bite me look. I tried, man. I kneel down in front of her and she climbs on my back. Once secured I launch off the ground and hit max speed. I listen to Hailey dry heave. It's a good thing she didn't eat anything. This is going to be a rough final stretch, isn't it? My sister groans out a question that answers itself as she continues to dry heave. I leave my sister to her suffering and relax my mind as we soar fast through the air. We fly through the air for 7 hours and now I'm beginning to smell an ocean. We come out of the clouds and see the forest end and a beach connected to an ocean begin. Let me off right now. I land fast and Hailey falls off my back onto the sand. Now we will wait an entire day before crossing the ocean. You get 24 hours of rest, Hailey. We flew for about 7 hours and that's a little over 3,000 miles. So that means we only have around 2,000 left. After our day break, a little less than 5 hours will be the required time to cross this ocean. She looks at me with a pale face and deep breaths. She lays on her side and tries to steady out her breathing. Fuck it, Sarah, let's keep going. I can handle 5 more hours. Well, shit. She must want to be done with it as soon as possible. I crouch down and help her get on my back. This will make her suffering shorter in the end, but damn, aren't I proud of her gusto. I launch off the ground hard as we begin the last stretch of this journey. I'm proud of you, Hailey. You are showing the will needed to be successful in this world. It's only a little farther now. So just hang on a little longer and it will be over before you know it. She just groans in pain at my words. She is going to be an amazing fighter and leader one day. I just know it. I look down towards the ocean as we fly over it and I see plenty of marine life in the unpolluted water. I even see whales for the first time in my life. Whales are extinct on Earth, most were killed off by poachers before the pollution got to them. I dive to get closer to the water, my sister pinches the skin on my stomach and twists in protest. I'm low to the water and I'm getting a good look at the life that wasn't on Earth. I see dolphins, humpback whales, and other marine mammals. I see something approaching me fast from the depths and I flap up just in time as a shark jumps from the water. It doesn't look like any ordinary shark either. Many shark species died out on Earth. The only ones that survived the pollution were the freshwater-only sharks. All saltwater ones died. I watch it fall back into the water and I take this split second to inspect it before I'm too far away. Jaws LVL.200 Tier 4 Roaming World Boss, Easter egg boss. 555,000/555,000,000 HP. Description: an Easter egg boss that roams the oceans of the world. A very rare encounter and an even harder boss. The creature pays homage to the hit blockbuster shark film Jaws, made in the year 1975. An original VHS copy goes for 3 million UWDs. This fan-favorite movie first showed in theaters over 250 years ago. Well, this must have been a boss the devs created and had the system integrate. Too bad Earth is gone now, and one of its memories is reminded through a deadly boss. I continue flying and think about everything I'm going to miss about Earth. I can count them on one hand. However, it is interesting that the Almighty Father allowed another creation that wasn't his own into the game. I wonder how many he allowed to be created for the players. I don't know the whole story of it, but that sounds like something a deity would be mad about. I focus on flying and the time passes fast. Chapter 134, Return to the Continent. Hailey is suffering greatly, and she doesn't sound like a healthy person should. We are only a minute away, Hailey. If you can look, you'll see the beaches of the continent. I feel her move her head slightly and I hear her groan and moan. I focus on getting us to landfall and soon the minute passes and we reach the beach. I land on the beach and toggle my wings off. Don't want anyone seeing me. No one is around right now, but I'm still not going to risk it. Hailey almost falls off my back and I catch her just in time. The sun is getting lower in the sky. We have been flying for 12 hours in total today. I carry her in my arms and make my way off the beach. She obviously needs a break from all the high-speed movement. I look down to her face and see that she is already asleep. Must be recovering from the strain on her body. I don't know where we are specifically on our original continent. Once we reach a city, it should be easy to find out where we are, even a town will do. I carry Hailey in my arms all the way to a dirt road that is used for travel. You can tell by the wear and tear of the road. I start to walk down it. Any road that is traveled frequently leads to a place with people. I walk for a few hours and the sun is now setting, and I hear the faint clicking of horse hoofs and the turning of wagon wheels. I look behind me and I see what looks to be a caravan. It even has guards and escorts. They must be heading in the same direction we are. Which means there is a sizable city up ahead. The noise catches up and my nice walk is interrupted. Halt! Make way for the Countess of Crema. I get out of the way and stand on the side of the road. So a countess, but the name of the country tells me where I'm at. Crema is a port country. They makes tons of money thanks to their travel routes. I remember the king of this country is very sick. He passed away in the second year of Ancient's world. Other than that, I don't know much about this place. This is actually the first time I've been here. Stop the carriage. I hear a feminine voice order the driver of her carriage to stop. I look and see an elegant-looking cabin stop. A lady opens the door and looks directly at me. She is older than me by 10 years at least, must be the Countess. She steps out of the cabin and walks over to me while being escorted by guards. I recognize you now, if only I can place it. Strange, I've never met this woman before. I look individually at the guards and they all have their hands on their sword handles. Now I remember, you were the young man who interrupted King Jackson at his party in Zenith. I must say that was mighty bold of you to storm a castle, but I've never seen a king defend someone like that. So she was at the party. I didn't talk to anyone other than Charles and Jackson. She continues to stare at me, waiting for a response. You have an impressive memory, Countess. I don't know your name, however. Jackson is an old friend I helped out a while ago. I'm surprised a noble all the way from Crema went to Zenith. Matters of state, I bet. You nobles are so crafty, aren't you? When those words leave my mouth, the guards get ready to attack. The Countess holds up her hand and they stop. She gives me a calculated look, and then looks at my sleeping sister. My name is Patricia Lacroze. Head of House Lacroze. I was in Zenith on behalf of King Edward Whirlpool of Crema. May I please have your name, sir? She has the voice, attitude, and disposition of a noble. Edward Whirlpool is the king of Creama still, so this part of the continent hasn't changed. I set my sister down on the ground gently and give a slight bow in respect of the noble. No reason to make her my enemy, and it's better just to play the role they assume me to play. A poor idiot on the road, that way I can move on through this country with no problems. My name is Zirn, I'm a new person. It's a pleasure to meet you, Countess Lkraz. She gives me a suspicious look. She waves her hand in a circle and the guards leave us. She must want a private conversation about something. She walks up in front of me and gives an overconfident look. There was an incredible event that took place in the king's palace in Zenith. It's strange that it happened right after you showed up and seemingly disappeared. Do you happen to know anything about that? This woman is both intelligent and a master at trapping you with words. I could just kill her and everyone on this escort mission, but that isn't really my style. You should watch your words, Countess. A person will get the wrong idea with questions like those. You may have plenty of guards, but we both know I can kill them all, and you so run along and forget you saw me. I'm sure a countess is smart enough to understand my warning. She looks at me in slight shock, and backs away very slowly. Good, she got my message. I watch her turn around and head into her cabin and proceed on her journey. I pick up Hailey and continue walking forward myself and watch them fade out of view. I have a long walk ahead of me, and as much as I'd like to fly, I'll be risking a lot heading to population center. Hailey is still sound asleep, and I have no problem walking through the night. I could run at top speed, but that might make her sick again. It's not near the same speed, but Hailey is in a delicate state right now. I close my eyes as I walk on the straight dirt path and organize my thoughts. Hopefully this Patricia doesn't cause me any problems, and if she does, I'm going to deal with her. Her guards aren't higher than tier 2, I can feel it. She is most likely heading back to her territory to take care of whatever nobles take care of. Jackson offered me a dukeship, but I'd rather pass kidney stones for a week than be a noble. I wonder if he did ask my in-game mother to be a noble. Amelia deserves it. Speaking of Amelia, I should check my mail at the next church when I get a chance. I sent her a letter a while back before all the crazy things happened to the players. She has probably been waiting for me to respond. MMMMNNGGGGNNN. My sister makes a strange noise and I look down at her. She must be dreaming about something, but I have no idea what it is. Knowing her, it's probably about the few things she likes, and those aren't available in Ancient's world. Worldwide announcement: the monsters are attacking the small country of Perla. This surprise attack will result in bonus EXP for any players that help repel the attack. Perla, if memory serves me right, that is about an hour's flight from here at full speed. I could use the EXP since I'm going after my divine mana aura soon. I exit into the forest and I set up a camp really fast. I place Hailey inside and take out my player journal. I write her a note that I'll be back by the time she wakes up and to wait for me here. I rip the page out of the journal and place it next to her. I exit the small tent and toggle my wings back on. I'm itching for a fight. It's been several days since I got to fight anything strong, and this is a nice opportunity to get some EXP. I launch off the ground in a burst of speed and head to the red blinking marker on my map. I quickly mark the location of the tent before it's out of view. Once done, I head towards Perla and I can't stop the grin on my face. Yes, people are dying, and yes, they are suffering greatly. I should get there before they can't defend the borders anymore. I wonder how many monster I'll get to kill. I should consider using a 2x EXP boost I have saved, stack that with the bonus from the event, and that's cha-ching. I will get even more since I don't have to deal with the debuff anymore. This event is going to help me a lot. Too bad Hailey is going to miss out, but I'm sure she is happy sleeping this time. Chapter 135, Unimpressed. I look down as I fly over the countryside and I'm glad that night has fallen. Even though my golden wings have a slight glow, I should only look like a shooting star instead of an angel. I've been flying for about 40 minutes now and I'm getting really close to the blinking red marker on my map. I look out into the direction it's in and I see a battle raging on. It's right against the walls of the border, these must have been added from the war. I can see countless men and women being slaughtered as the fighting continues. I should fight far enough away so they can't inspect me. I fly over the horde that is just arriving, I can handle the ones coming in while they handle the ones attacking their walls. As Sarum makes his descent, the commander at this important point in the border is fighting off as many as he can. His name is Caden Lancer, and he is doing his best to fight off the invasion. I slaughter as many as I can as fast as I can, but we are running low on men and women to fight. I have a split second to take a breather and I notice a golden light above the coming horde. I cut down an attacking monster and focus on it once again. I watch it dive and hit the ground hard, causing shockwaves to rattle throughout the area. I listen to monsters shriek in pain as they are taken apart. The monsters that are currently fighting us turn around and charge back to the thing that is fighting them. What the hell is going on? I hear one of the soldiers at my side ask that question. I watch a scout on my other side pull out a scope and look. I watch his face pale and see the absolute shock on his face. It's him. He speaks in a whispered tone. The soldier behind him smacks the back of his head so he speaks. It's the son of Archangel Michael. Everyone starts hurling questions and climbing over one another to try and get a look. I take the scope fast from the scout and look myself. I see him cutting through them like they are nothing. I watch him use his wings and his sword to unleash death upon the monsters. I have to get close enough. Many of the quiet soldiers hear my words and look between each other. This is an opportunity to find out who he really is. I shout at the top of my lungs and the remaining soldiers become motivated themselves. I hop off the wall and land on the piles of corpses and organs. I stand up and run as fast as I can, but the closer I get the more he kills. I'm still too far away and all the monsters are nearly dead. I see him clearly now amongst all the carnage. I try to use inspect, but it tells me I'm too far away from target. Just a little closer. I yell out hoping somehow this helps. However, I watch him spread his majestic golden wings as they drip with blood and launch off the ground. I am overcome with frustration in myself. I watch him soar into the direction the monsters are coming from. I stop running and put my hands on my knees to catch my breath. I was so fucking close to him. I've never seen something so spectacular in my life. I look off into the direction he went and I can no longer see him. Some of the scouts catch up with me and take deep breaths themselves. Did you get a chance to inspect him? I shake my head no in disappointment. They all just sigh as well, however I did get a decent look at his face. That is sure to be useful. All a mage needs to do is look into my mind and magically draw what I saw. We could have posters all over the continent by next week. It's not all bad men. I did get a good look at his face. That is sure to be useful in some way. Go back to camp and tell HQ what happened. I'm going to go and investigate the combat site. Knowing the church, they won't let anyone near it until they inspect everything. The scouts leave without a word and I continue forward to the site. As this is happening, Sarah is heading to the area they are camped at, provided by the system after successfully clearing the emergency world event. I fly fast to the camp to see what else I can fight. I leveled up a bunch with the bonus from the emergency event and the 2x boost. I can take some time to read the notifications now that I'm not fighting. I open my player stats and notifications and get tons of alerts. Plus 20-30% EXP. Plus 3 levels to Slash. You have leveled up 20 times. Slash has been upgraded. Slash now does 95% damage per hit. Slayer, Zirn, LVL.71. EXP, 95/100%. Title, The Son of Archangel Michael, hidden, plus 3 more. Stats. Strength, 2095 Endurance, 2045 Dexterity, 2125 Speed, 2240 Focus, 13545. Health, 16,560/16,560 Mana, 135450/135450. Stat points, 470 armor rating, 500. Inventory. Passive perks. Inheritor of the Sword, Son of Heaven, Slayer of Evil, Holy Willow Trees, Savior, Finder of Legends, the Divine who has legend, destined for greatness, Dungeon Diver and Overachiever. Active skills. Heaven's Light LVL.7325/700 protected by Heaven LVL.7225/700/LVL.204600/11000 parry LVL.180/100 double strike and/A King Slayer and/A Raging Machine and/A Winged Glory Angelic Flight. I have a huge grin on my face, and I still have a chance to get even more levels. I won't be getting to 100. But this is awesome. I look down to where the marker is taking me and see a bunch of monster running around the camp. I also see a portal that is more than likely the monster's way of getting here. I dive down and land hard in the center of camp. I have learned I don't take any fall damage as long as I have my wings toggled on. So it makes for cool entrances. The monsters in camp quickly surround me, but stop. They all part from the portal and I see a demon on the other side, looks to be a greater demon. So you are the one, I hear him speak through his deep twisted words. He walks through the portal and closes it behind him, leaving the rest of his forces. He is either very powerful or very arrogant, it's rare that it's both with demons. He has a humanoid look, but the demon horns give him away. The stronger ones are confident enough in their powers to speak like this. I use Inspect on him as he stares me down. Greater Demon Quilzer LVL.110 Tier 2, Boss. 20,000/20,000,000 HP. He is powerful, and I bet by Sword's Dismemberment perk won't work since he is a tier above me. I feel him use Inspect on my as well and he laughs at my puny health pool compared to his. I was actually worried about fighting you, but if you are this weak then I have no problems killing you now. I can take out 20 million health with all my skills activated pretty fast, so I might want to play into his ego and let him attack first. That way he just jumps into his death. He leaps at me and I activate all my offensive skills and damage boosts. I dodge his first attack. I go for 1-2, but he decides to take it to try and rattle me. I land a devastating hit and watch him recoil and sever pain. What the fuck, he groans out as he grips the attacked area. I charge him using his confusion to my advantage. I strike him another 4 times in a row and he's looking rough. A few more and he is finished. I'm glad the witness does 24,000 damage now instead of 8,000. Stack that with my powerful skills and you got crazy damage. He retreats in fear of dying and reopens the portal and tries to jump through it. I burst forward with my wings and use my right wing to cut off both his legs before he can finish his jump. Help me, you worthless maggots. I grab the greater demon that's near death and drag him away from the portal. I throw him to the ground and look hard at the surrounding monsters. I swing my sword across his neck and slice it open. He chokes on his own screams and blood. I never stopped looking away from the monsters. They all recoil, and some even start running for the open portal. I stop all ideas of escape and begin to tear them all apart. Soon all the monsters are dead and I got 3 new notifications. I spread my wings and lift off. They are probably about levels and skill upgrades, but I want to get back to Hailey and get a little sleep myself. I open the notification about my level gains. I want to see that at least. Plus 1000% EXP. Plus 2 levels to all skills. Slayer, Zirn, LVL.81. EXP, 95/100%. Title, The Son of Archangel Michael, Hidden, plus 3 more. Stats. Strength, 2095 Endurance, 2045 Dexterity, 2125 Speed, 2240 Focus, 13545. Health, 16,560/16,560 Mana, 135450/135450. Stat points, 570 armor rating, 500. Inventory. Passive perks. Inheritor of the Sword, Son of Heaven, Slayer of Evil, Holy Willow Trees, Savior, Finder of Legends, the Divine who has legend, destined for greatness, Dungeon Diver, and Overachiever. Active skills. Heaven's Light LVL.9325/900 protected by Heaven LVL.9225/900/LVL.224600/13000 parry LVL.380/300 double strike and/A King Slayer and/A Raging Machine and/A Winged Glory Angelic Flight. That's a lot of progress and help towards completing the Divine Mana Aura quest. I even have 570 skill points to upgrade some stats. Those are thoughts for later. Time to get back to Hailey. I do wonder what the other two notifications are though. Chapter 136, The Current State. I'm almost back to the tent and there is still plenty of time to sleep. I've leveled up 30 times and I've gotta say it's nice not having the half EXP debuff anymore. The marker is fast approaching and I land. I walk towards the hidden tent quietly and open it. Hailey is still sound asleep. I toggle my wings off and find myself a comfy spot and rest my body. I look to the top of the tent and think about that guy charging towards me. Whoever he was definitely trying to get close enough to use inspect on me. I'm glad I could kill those monsters before he got within range. I release a small sigh. This is one thing I don't like about being surrounded by NPCs. I feel Hailey shuffle in her spot and she turns to me and wraps her limbs around me. I shake my head and just push her off me. Doesn't snuggle when she sleeps is a total lie. I should have known better with all the stuffed animals on her bed. I close my eyes and empty my mind. Relaxing as best as I can. I'm mentally tired and that's the worst kind in my opinion. The sun should be rising in a few hours, so giving my head a rest sounds like a good idea. I drift into a sleep faster than I would have expected and that's nice. As Sarah and Hailey sleep, there is an emergency meeting happening at the Church of Light. It's only between the officials of the church though. The Pope is the one reading the shocking report. I can't believe my eyes. Soldiers fighting on the border of Perla actually witnessed the sun in combat. The commander even saw his face. While we didn't get the sun's name, this helps greatly in the search for the sun. I look at all my fellow officials of the church and Lucy is taking a break from searching the front lines to be here. Everyone. An unprecedented event has occurred. While soldiers were fighting off an attack on Perla's borders, the sun intervened. Everyone stiffens at my words. I send a copy of the report to everyone in the meeting and they begin to read it themselves. As you can see from the report, the sun has grown stronger since the last time we heard anything about him. While we don't know his name, we have someone that can gives us an idea of what he looks like. The commander of the post ran to get close enough for an inspect, but he couldn't reach him in time. However, he got a good look at his face. We have some mages painting the images with magic now. Many wear faces of happiness at this news, and this is good news indeed. This is the closest the church has ever gotten to finding out who the sun is. Now we actually know what he looks like. Are the reports about golden angels' wings true? Lucy speaks out of nowhere and I nod my head confirming her question. This only means he is drawing out more and more of his latent angelic powers. I'm heading to the capital city Zenith. I have some questions for King Jackson. Must be the reports about the event that took place a while back. I know what she's doing, and I hope it bears fruit. Lucy leaves the hall and I'm left alone with the rest of the officials. My fellow colleges. If we do this right and methodically, we can find out who the sun is and finally achieve our goals of bringing him in and protecting him. However, we must be subtle about it. We can't forget what Fenrir said. Fenrir's advice can really help us in this situation. Instead of releasing pictures of the sun to the public, we can set up checkpoints in every city and everyone who comes and goes will be checked with magic automatically. This plan will make it hard for us to miss him if he decides to travel by foot to some places, however he has an ability of flight. Very fast flight by the sounds of the reports, so all we have to do is wait for him to make a mistake. Let's keep this entire situation under wraps, everyone. We can locate him if we are quiet about this. I want to say that we succeeded sooner rather than later. Everyone nods their heads as the holograms turn off and people begin to leave. I'm proud that I may actually be the first pope to meet a person of the Almighty Father's line, a direct blood descendant. This entire situation must have been an opportunity for him to get stronger. He has lots of power already, and I'm assuming much of his time is spent looking for ways to get stronger. This was also the first monster attack in quite some time. I find it very suspicious that it happens with the sun close by. It's like it only happened because he was around. When the announcement came through the church, Lucy was already on her way with our forces. They only made it about halfway with the teleport gates before we got the report. I stand up from my seat and begin walking towards the doors of this meeting hall. I'd like to get some sleep tonight, but that isn't happening anytime soon. I make it to my office after climbing some stairs and I land with a heavy thud in my office chair. I look at all the documents on my desk and all of them are requests for funds from different countries. It's nice that we have the dwarves and lizardmen's support now, we can use all the help we can get. I pull open my desk drawer and see a poster of Creelder. If we can get help from him in this war, it will be amazing. The only other legendary class we have in our forces is Lucy. If I can convince Creelder to help us, we might swiftly end this war. I know he comes from that group, but their history speaks for itself. I don't know how so many powerful people come from one specific place, but this could be the deciding factor in the war. As the Pope searches through more documents and continues work, Creelder is hanging out with his old friends Creature Man and Ghost Zero. These two have grown really powerful over the years. If Zelly wasn't the one who raised our orphanage, we would have been evil little bastards. I hear that you guys pulled off one of the greatest heists in history. Even got a legacy class from it. They both give sideways looks. Hey, I'm not saying you have to tell me the story now. I want to know it one day though. They just chuckle and roll their eyes. We all turn our heads to see the door to the room open. We all see Zelly carrying a plate with snacks and tea. We all get up and help the woman who raised us. We set it on the table and look at her to join us. You boys grew into such nice men. Looks like all the things I did for you and your brothers and sisters was for the best. She begins to laugh as she finishes that. We stay quiet. All of us orphans that were raised under Zelly deeply resent what she went through to keep us safe. Oh come on boys, it's supposed to be a good thing I lived long enough to say these things. I can never understand how she could be such a positive and great person after all the shit. She stands up and walks over to the window. You guys even bought me this huge mansion and servants. In truth, I find it extremely unfamiliar to be in this place. Having others take care of me is something I never thought I'd get. I look to my brothers and see the malice for the treatment we got from those men growing up. I was going to go alone, but they might want to come along too. I won't interrupt you guys anymore. I'll be downstairs if you need anything. We watch her walk out of the room and gently close the door. I take some breaths to try and rid those memories from my mind. What I'm about to say brings joy to my heart. I found the rest of the men. They both instantly give me hard glares. I was going to go on my ow. Creature Man stands up and grabs my collar. I look at the fury in his eyes. We are coming too. Enough said, little brother. He lets go and we sit in silence knowing our new objective. We are coming for you, Edwin. No matter how many cronies you have, it won't stop us. I stand up and so do they. I want to say goodbye to Zelly before we leave. I want to have Jason all to myself. Creature Man says who he wants to have all to himself. I look over to Ghost Zero and see him full of fire. I want Reginald. He will know what it's like to feel total and absolute fear. Looks like who's getting who is settled. We proceed downstairs and say our goodbyes for now to Zelly. Belvia, here we come. Chapter 137, Running into Pests. My body feels hot and I open my eyes. Today is a scorcher. I sit up and I'm dripping in sweat. I immediately get out of the hot tent and try to cool down. It's hot and Hailey is going to be cranky. I unequip my leather chest piece and give a sigh of relief. I need to find better weather appropriate gear. For now I'll just walk around without a chest piece. This is the worst. Seems like Hailey is awake. She quickly gets out of the tent and I notice she is drenched in sweat herself. It's a hot one today, you would think being in shade would keep it cooler. She looks at me in frustration. Probably not in the mood to talk. We should get a move on. I think we are relatively close to a town. They will probably have a way for us to get clean. I'd also like to find out how far I am from the Holy City. The Holy City is the location I need to head to so I can start my Divine Mana Aura quest. She fans herself with her hands trying to cool down. I approach the tent and take it apart and place it in my inventory. So I guess that means we'll be separating soon, doesn't it? She looks a little sad saying that, but I can also tell she is excited to go for her legendary class battle mind. You know, I thought it would take longer to get here. I didn't think that we would get here in only a couple days. It's all thanks to you that I was able to get us here early. I walk up beside her and tilt my head for us to continue. We make our way to the road and we start walking. The reason we got here so fast was because you allowed me to. You were a real champion, I'm positive you'll get your class without any problems. She just slugs my shoulder at my nice words. It's rare for siblings to be nice to each other. Most of the time it's just a ruse to cause even more damage. I like to think we outgrew that part of our lives. I look ahead of us and see open space and rolling hills. I don't know how far the next town is, but I do know it's this way. I'd fly us, but I risk my identity doing that. So please be nice and don't beg for me to fly. As I say those words, her face turns a shade of green. She must not want to fly anymore after all the high-speed travel. Forget I said anything. If I knew you would get so sick from the mention, I wouldn't have mentioned it. She gives me an annoyed look and I give a light chuckle. She opens her map and begins to look around. I can't see what she sees, but my map would show the same thing. This place sure has a lot of open fields, the land is healthy too. If Earth had land this healthy, we probably wouldn't have had a food crisis. The third world countries suffered greatly for the modern ones. I still get knots in my stomach thinking about those types of things. Hailey understood what Earth was really all about. If she can accept its fate, her life here will get much better. I give her an understanding look. Many people saw the human race as doomed, and the clock on our world wasn't pasted 70 years at that point. Scientists did a lot to help extend the clock and make great inventions, but those were band-aids. Our world is a tragedy only the players will remember. I will miss it to Hailey. Ancient's world is a place we don't have to worry about that anymore, I say, enjoy the freedom from death. This place is our new home, forever at this point. She gives a slightly bitter look. Many of her friends probably didn't make it, I doubt any actually did. Do you think humanity will ever be the same again? 'Cause I can't tell you how much I miss the convenience of my favorite things. You have no idea how many times I put my hand on my thigh trying to feel for a phone that isn't there anymore. I'll miss those things too. I can't lie, I do like things that make my life more convenient, and many of those things are gone. I'm a little bitter about only getting to drive my Lambo once, talk about getting screwed. The rays of heat and light from the sun are blasting down on both of us. I feel bad for Hailey because she can't take off her chest piece. She doesn't have a bra, so that means she is suffering through the heat more than me. Perhaps I'll finally get a good tan in this blistering heat. How hot do you think it is? 85 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Just because we grew up in California, LA doesn't mean we love the heat. Another thing I miss about Earth is air conditioning. That sounds so wonderful right now. My slightly paler skin type is probably going to get sunburned, but you can't get a tan without one at this point. I don't think sunscreen even exists in Ancient's world. At least you can take off your clothes. It feels more like 100 to me. I hope the town has some clothes that are cheap. I only have enough to get a few things. She says all that in a voice implying me to step up and help pay for it. My shop should have accumulated a lot of gold by now, so I'll stop by the bank in town and withdraw the earning. There are things I want to get as well. I suddenly hear a light humming noise. I look where the sound is coming from and I see a massive airship in the sky. What is that noise? I grab the top of my sister's head and turn it to where I'm looking. Whoa, I've taken rides on an airship a bunch of times before. That is one of the bigger ones I've seen. Must be heading to whatever town is in front of us. I don't think I'm going to be using any methods of flight for a while. The journey here left a bad taste in her mouth and she isn't looking for a flying option right now. I look at its marvelous design. It truly is one of the greater inventions of Ancient's world. Since teleportation gates are expensive, players use the airship alternative. Not to mention the toxic adventurers guild making it almost impossible to use the gates. I suggest you get used to using airships, Hailey. They are going to be your best mode of transportation. Airships usually dock at a town for a full 12 hours for refueling and unloading and loading of passengers. This means if we get there in time I can pay for a ticket and send Hailey on her way. She gets the meaning behind my words and releases a groan. I bet it's a few more hours till we get there, so there is no need to rush anything. I know I'm not high enough level to use the teleportation gates yet, but are the rumors about the Adventurers Guild really all that bad? Aren't they supposed to be the good guys most of the time? Not in Ancient's world. They are some of the worst people you'll ever meet in your entire life. They are worse than nobles when it comes to attitudes. We walk for a couple more hours and the weather is getting hotter and hotter as the time passes. We hear the clicking of horseshoes behind us and we both turn around. There is a group of 3 men and all have good gear and probably good levels. I notice the pins on their jackets. All of them are C-ranked adventurers. We can already see the town in the distance. So that means they have a branch in the upcoming city. They pass us and they hop off their horses. I already know what's going to happen. I see the strongest of these guys make lustful eyes at my sister, and that almost makes me pull out my sword right now. Well, young lady. You look mighty hot in this weather. Why don't you come with us and we'll get you to town faster? These guys are unlucky and incredibly stupid. However, many common NPCs don't mess with the Adventurers Guild, so they probably don't get rejected often. My sister gets behind me and they stare at me. So this your boyfriend or something? I don't give any reaction and just continue to stare into him hard. He really isn't liking that. How about you hand us the girl for a little while and I'll forget about your disrespectful attitude. All the power they have has gone to their heads. I can spare 30 seconds to kill these clowns. He is getting very agitated at my disposition and reaches for my sister. I toggle my wings on and cut off the arm trying to grab her. You son of a bitch. Gag, you chopped my arm off. His face twists as he sees what caused it. This is going to be fun. Chapter 138, Tulak City. The faces of the men are in total and absolute fear. I look down at his severed arm and see that it's cleanly cut from my wing swipe. I look back and they immediately fall to their knees. Please don't kill us. The weakest of the group is the first to start begging. I wonder how men like these guys live long enough to act in such despicable ways. I slowly draw my sword and one of them squeals in fear like a little toddler. I start making an approach, but the armless one holds up his other good arm and points at me. You're an angel. It's forbidden for you to take mortals' lives. The church has preached this for centuries. He looks at me as if he's one. I crack a smile and his disappears. Well, I'm still half human. His face twists in fear. The worst creature to ever breathe are humans. I dash forward and cut his head off. I see the other two and the weakest one that started begging has wet his pants. Have some dignity before you die. I wear a frown as I say that. This isn't fun at all. I dash forward and kill both of them with my wings. I look at the ground and see their blood pooling. This is cleaner than most of my battles. I toggle my wings off and turn back to my sister. She looks at my blood-stained chest and runs to the side of the road to dry heave since she has nothing in her stomach. I just stand still waiting for her to return. These guys wasted their lives and they have no one to blame but themselves. Hailey leans back up from dry heaving and looks at me with slight disgust. Jesus, Sarah, show some humanity for fuck's sake. I roll my eyes at her words. She must have never killed an NPC before. It's like killing another human, so I can see how it's rough on her. She walks back up to me and looks at the dead bodies. You know, taking their gear and selling it will net you a nice profit, Hailey. I suggest taking them. She looks at me mortified. Fine, if you don't want it, I'll take them. I loot only the valuables on these guys and put them in my inventory. I'll get a few gold pieces for the state the gear is in. I start walking forward and Hailey follows. I look at the three guys' horses and now they are ownerless. Horses go for way more than their shitty gear. I grab their tassels and begin walking them with us. Hailey even tries to get on one, but is denied by the system since she isn't the horse's owner and doesn't meet the level requirements. She walks up to my side and stares at me. Most likely wanting an explanation for what that was all about. I wasn't going to let them take you, Hailey. They weren't going to leave without a fight. She looks down to the ground. Most likely thinking of something to say. Next time I won't be there to save you. I watch her lift her head fast and look at me in slight fear. She is going to have to get used to killing and not just monsters. NPCs cause problems too, and they are the ones you have to worry about. Clever bastards most of the time, these ones not so much. Typical of the Adventurers Guild. We get closer and closer to the city in view, and now we are waiting in line to enter the city. I look at its name and it's Tulak. After a few minutes we get in and I head to the stables right inside by the entrance. I sell the 3 horses for 5 gold apiece. I give the 15 gold to Hailey and nod for her to go shopping. Let's meet by the airship loading area. I have some things to do and I don't want to drag you around with me. She slugs my chest and looks at me with frustration. Get a move on. She listens and turns around and heads to the commercial district to shop. I need to check my mail at the local church. I find it by the bank as usual and I enter it. I re-equip my chest piece so I don't get kicked out. I walk over to the message department and see I have 2 new mail. Both are from Amelia. I take the envelopes out and open them. I read the one with the date closer to the time I sent her mail. It's so good to hear from you, son. I've heard many things about you from the church's announcements. I want to say thank you for checking in with me and keeping me up to date. I won't keep you from your journey any longer and make you read a lot. Love, Mom. I look at the next envelope and see that it's a little fancier and has intricate designs on it. I open it and begin to read. The new king of Zenith, Jackson, has offered me a noble spot in his country. I'll be granted land and servants. The message he sent even said he'll give me funds to start growing my noble house and lands. I'm going to accept and become a countess. I know you had something to do with this and I thank you for it. The kids here will now have a much better place to grow up. Please write back to me soon. Love, Mom. So Jackson did it, he is really making my game mother a noble in his country. Way to keep me close, and I did suggest it. I didn't think he would go through with it. Good on him for making me eat my words. I should write back to her and make sure she understands I'm doing just fine. It's been a while since I sent her anything. I'm glad to hear that, Mom. I was in the capital talking to Jackson a while back. Before he was king he was the Baron of Bluegrass City. I did a mission for him and I completed it without any problems. I've had good relations with him ever since. He is one of the few who knows my identity. I don't know the next time I'll be in Zenith, but when I am I'll be sure to stop by. I have important things to take care of so it's going to be a while. Once I'm done with all the work I have, I'll come by. Love, your son. I fold up the letter and place it in the delivery slot. I input where it's supposed to go and who is getting it, and I click send. It disappears in a ray of light and I'm now done in the church. I exit and head to the bank right by it. I enter and notice there are no lines. I walk up to a teller and see the typical bank teller smile. Name is Slayer Zirn. I'd like to withdraw all funds in my account. The lady nods her head and checks my credentials with magic. She then looks at my account balance and goes pale. Are you sure you wish to withdraw 240 gold coins? I nod my head yes, and she heads into the back where the vault is. I patiently wait for her to return, and when she does, she has 4 filled pouches of gold. She puts them in front of me and I take them. Have a nice day, sir. She looks distraught that I took out that much money. However, it's not her responsibility to take care of the funds. I walk out of the bank and place the pouches of gold into my inventory. I should sell the gear I got from those guys. I make my way to the commercial district and see an armor shop. I enter it and see a balding man at the front desk. How can I help you, young man? He gives an excited voice and I walk up him. I take the only valuable things I got from those guys and place them on the desk. I'd like to sell these. I'll take whatever you offer for them. I'm telling the truth. I just want them out of my inventory. Hailey is getting whatever gold comes from these. He adjusts his glasses and inspects the quality. I'll give you 5 gold for everything. I nod my head and he pulls out the gold from under the counter. I take them from his hand and place them in my inventory. I exit the store and now it's time to meet Hailey at the airship. I make my way to the port for its loading and unloading and I don't see her yet. She must still be shopping. I wait for 3 more hours and I finally see her walking over. I wave my hand and she walks over. Sorry I took so long. I wanted to get the things I needed to be comfortable. I still have 8 gold left. She spent 7 gold on non-combat clothes. Talk about wasting money. That's just how she is, and who am I to complain? It's not my money. I take out the 5 gold and give it to her. It costs 2 gold for a commercial ticket. 8 for a first class. I'll let you decide which one you want. She looks at me with sadness. This isn't going to be the last time we see each other. When the players find a way to communicate after they return, I'll contact everyone. She nods her head and takes a seat next to me. There is still time, so she probably wants to talk about something. Chapter 139, Hailey's departure. We sit in silence now that it's time to say goodbye. I look over and see that sad look on her face. If you keep making a face like that, I might actually think you'll miss me, sis. The airship is going to be leaving and you know where you're heading. She looks at me with sad eyes. My attempt at a joke didn't work. She leans back and looks at the passing clouds. Will you tell me what you're hiding before I leave? I'd like to know what changed you so much and how you know so much about Ancient's world. I look up at the same spot she is and I release a sigh. She isn't going to like my answer. I'll tell you the next time we meet. You'll be strong enough by then, and so will the rest of our family. It's going to be a long time before we see each other, and I'm going all over Ancient's world soon. I have to head to the Holy City for a quest I have. After I complete it, I'm heading to Belvia. She looks down to her knees and tries to hold back tears. I put my hand on top of her head and that does it. She has big crocodile tears now and is trying not to make any noise. Dry your tears, Hailey, time is on our side. I better hear things about you in the world announcements, sis. It'd be nice if I wasn't so damn common on them. She hiccups a little and stops crying. She looks at me with a bitter smile. Go and get your ticket. I'll see you off. We both stand and walk over to the booth. She takes out 2 gold and hands it to the teller. She gets her ticket and turns to me. This is it, Sarah. I had a lot of fun despite the mishaps and conversations with your twisted sense of reality. I'd be hurt if I disagreed. You are stronger than I could ever be. Maybe I have been looking at this all wrong. She walks up to me and wraps her arms around me. She squeezes me in a hug and I reciprocate. She pulls away with a smile. It's like hugging a steel beam. Contact me when you can, Sarah. Until then, farewell. I watch her load onto the airship and get out of view. I look towards the window that she should look out of. She peeks around the corner and sees me looking. I can see she has tears in her eyes again and I chuckle a little. I wave her goodbye as the whistle goes off for its launch. The airship takes off and I watch her slowly fade out of view along with the airship. I turn around and feel a bittersweet moment. It was really nice to travel with someone for once, but now I'm back on this road. I haven't had a good meal or bath in a while, so that is going to be my first priority. I walk the streets of Tulak and find a nice inn that also has a bath. I enter and see the lively parties that happen every day in inns and taverns. There are guards, civilians, and adventurers. I walk up to the counter and see the middle-aged woman doing tons of work. Do you have any rooms available? I'm willing to pay extra for a private bath too. She looks at me and holds out her hand. It's usually 50 silver for a room and bath. I hand her 2 gold and she beams with a smile. The private bath will be ready in an hour. Here's your room key. It's on the 2nd floor at the end of the hall. Sally will come get you when the bath is ready. I nod my head and take the key with me upstairs. I make it to the room and see how well it's maintained and the quality of everything. I don't want to stink up the bed right now, so I take a seat in the chair and lean my head on the desk. Now the fighting gets really hard. The quests I have are absurd in quality and not everything will go smooth. I should take the warning from the system and see if I can get help with the mission for my divine mana aura. I still have Fenrir's whistle and I bet he'd be willing to help. He would be invaluable on this quest, and I'm not wasting this opportunity to get the best quality mana aura. I open my quest for the divine mana aura and read it. Chain Divine Mana Aura Quest. Description: now that you have reached Tier 1 you must undertake the real challenge. While many mana aura quests are the same, it's a known fact that the rarer a class is the harder the quests will be for that class. Objective 1: make your way to the Holy City and speak to the Secret Keeper of Titans. Objective 2: complete the quest she gives you and get the first clue to the location of your divine mana aura. Difficulty: Divine. Rewards: information about the location of your divine mana aura. Hint: you will need a powerful ally to help you at the end of this chain quest. You will not be able to defeat the boss with your current strength. The Secret Keeper of Titans is not an entity I'm familiar with. As well as the Holy City, I have little experience with the city. This quest is just the beginning too. It's a chain divine quest and that means it's extremely difficult. If I want to succeed I'm going to need Fenrir's help. I still have the lore tablet, and that is going to be crucial in this quest. After this quest the next ones are the 2 in Belvia. I pull those up next to see them. Quest: the False One. Description: you have found the truth about Belvia and their involvement with the Dryads and you have found out about the curse and who made it. You will have a choice to make, only one of the following objectives can be completed. Objective 1: expose the kingdom of Belvia and have them pay for their crimes. Objective 2: find the weakness of the curse and use it to free the Dryads and return them to Ancient's world. Quality: legendary. Rewards: hidden. Quest: an abomination. Description: find the research and notes of Ulmaruna on her development of the curse. Objective 1: find Ulmaruna's lab in Belvia's capital and bring the notes and research papers back to Flint. Objective 2: hidden. Quality: epic. These 2 quests are intertwined. I'm going to be bringing back the Dryads for sure. That's also going to bring war. Belvia is surely going to be a point of interest very soon in the future. Their past transgressions are going to come back and bite them in the ass. I hear a knock on my door and I notice that more time has passed than I thought. I open the door and I come face to face with a half-breed. So Sally is half elf and half human. Quite beautiful too. She is just staring at me with a slightly shocked look. Geez, sir. I understand why you wanted a bath. You absolutely reek. She pinches her nose and I begin to laugh. That is one of the boldest and funniest things I've ever heard. She has no regard for what comes out of her mouth. She takes a step back, making sure she doesn't get stinky just by standing near me. Now I'm in a hurry with that comment. It's been a long time since I've had a bath, I've been without access to one for a while. She nods her head and hands me a key to the bath. She quickly makes an escape and I can't help laughing some more. That was something I needed to bring the mood up for me. I walk downstairs and make my way to the bathroom in a separate room. I use the key and I'm met by a steamy bath. This is something I need. I quickly put my clothes into my inventory and hop into the nice big tub. I see soap on the little table next to it and I pick it up. This is absolutely perfect. I scrub as deeply and as hard as I can. The water is magically enchanted too. It's not getting cold or dirty. I stop with the cleaning and just lean back into the tub. I bet Hailey took a bath in those 3 hours she was gone. I didn't smell her reeking like me. I close my eyes and relax to the point that I'm drifting in and out of sleep. I paid for its use so I don't think they'll mind me taking a little nap. Tomorrow I'm heading for the Holy City. Chapter 140, Chasing Real Power. I get out of the tub and stretch my body around. I'm now all clean for the first time in weeks. I put a towel around my waist and exit the bathroom. I walk through the party and commotion in only a towel. Everyone is too busy being drunk or horny to even notice. I make my way up to my room and open it up. I lay flat on the soft bed and release a long groan. When was the last time I got to sleep on a bed? If memory serves me right, then it was before we all got stuck here. I took a nice nap in the tub so I got extra energy. I sit up on the bed and look out the window that it's right under. The night lights are creating an amazing view. It's like those really old pictures of Paris before it lost its beauty. Those photos are close to 270 years old. The people who remember are limited now, and that's a saddening fact. Out of all the memories I have, the most prevalent are what my parents told me about their times growing up. The times in the 2180s were apparently the most fun times in their lives. I don't know every story they have. I do know they have been together for a very long time. It was nice to see what they look like in their mid-20s. Older people being returned to the primes of their lives isn't something I or anyone could have anticipated. Well, this whole situation couldn't have been anticipated. So people getting younger instead of older is unsurprising, giving it time to sink in. I see that the party in the inn has bled outside. I have a pretty good view from this window. A bunch of drunks is a funny sight, a state and sensation I've never known. I'll never have any mind-altering substances because I have seen where that path leads. Haileys' old fate is a shining example of that. Many people claim they can control it and stop anytime they want, but I know that's a load of bullshit. I'll never understand the appeal. I don't believe in a recreational drug. Thinking about and seeing all this is bringing back old and bitter memories. That man, if I ever meet the man that twisted my sister and killed my mother, I'll kill him 10,000 times and make sure his mind is broken. Evil like him doesn't deserve mercy or second chances. Not even an opportunity to speak and bargain. All he'll get is torture till near death over and over. Many people believe angels aren't allowed to hurt mortal creatures, but I've come to understand that's full-blooded angels. My half-human blood allows me to ignore those rules. I can do other things other angels can't, at least I assume I can. I'm not going to go and find out. Speaking of things I can do, once I get my divine mana aura and finishing the 2 quests in Belvia, I should help in this war. I've taken a seat on the sidelines, but it could prove to be the best source of EXP. Grinding areas around Ancient's world is well and good, but I can see the value of killing monsters in huge hordes instead of individually. I pull away from the window and remove my towel. I lift up the blanket and take it off the bed. I'm only sleeping with the sheet tonight since I know it's going to be hot again tomorrow. The weather has officially changed and it's only going to get warmer. I close my eyes trying to force myself to sleep. After an hour I fall into a slumber. I sleep through the night and I wake up to the heat again. I toss the sheet off me and I equip my armor. Since it sat in my inventory for a long time, it's clean now. A feature I found while making my way to my family. While strange in its existence, it's extremely useful. I now don't have a discernible odor for the first time in a long time. While bathing in the clean rivers on the player continent, I wasn't able to become fully odorless. Just not as bad. I roll my limbs and shift my back and everything pops. Changing from the ground to a bed sure did wonders for my back. I stand up and make my way to the door. I'd like to get a hot meal before I leave today, and the great smelling food from last night seems like the way to do it. Perhaps Sally won't be recoiling from me this time. She is the third half-elf I've ever seen. They are rare since most elves don't procreate with humans. There have been outliers before though, even in Ancient's world there is still racial discrimination. Being half-angel I probably won't get discriminated, but that's only with NPCs who know my identity. Elves will still treat me as a filthy human. I wonder if they are even helping in the war. Knowing their history, they are probably reluctant to help against monsters who multiply by using other species' females. Truly disgusting, and another reason I should help once I get enough power. This war is my fault too. It never happened in the old future, which means the only reason it's happening is because of my choices with future knowledge. I leave my room and walk downstairs. The inn isn't packed anymore, just some drunks laying around. I walk up to the counter and I can smell them cooking already. The same lady that gave me my room key comes to the counter and hands me a paper menu. They have some pretty good stuff. I want something filled with protein and they have excellent steaks here. I look at the beef menu and I set my eyes on a 12 ounces porterhouse and a side of orange juice. I lay down the price of 2 silver pieces and she quickly comes back. I'd like the 12 ounces porterhouse and a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. She nods her head and takes the order. She disappears into the back. I look around the inn again and see that among the drunks there are adventurers. I don't like the fact that more and more NPC adventurers are appearing. It used to be a pretty hard thing to get into, but since the war started more have joined them. Some of the strongest NPCs in Ancient's world are members of the Adventurers Guild and they are just as horrible as the rest of them. I hear soft footsteps come up behind me and some take a sniff. I can figure who it is. I turn back around to look at the other side of the counter and see Sally. "You don't smell bad anymore, sir." I just crack a smile and nod my head. "So what are you doing in Tulak? You don't seem the type to be interested in what happens near the ports. You look like a deep continent dweller." I didn't know I had a look like that. Being closer to the coast isn't unfamiliar to me. My hair is darker than everyone else's though. I look at her pointy eyes and long blonde hair. She has the typical looks of a female elf, but what sticks out the most is her height. She is much taller than normal elves. Must have got it from her father. The lady from last night comes out with a plate and a glass of orange juice. "Here's your food. Enjoy it." She lays down the food in front of me and I immediately cut into it and start digging in. Sally gives me an understanding grin. I lean up as I chew my food and swallow it. "So how did a halfling come to be in the town of Tulak, if you don't mind me asking? The elves rarely procreate with other species and I haven't seen any signs that you are here with your parents." She gives me a solemn look. I hope I'm not pushing too hard. Asking about something so personal is kind of rude. I understand if you don't want to tell me anything. Thinking about it, that was very rude of me. I apologize. She looks at me with the same solemn look. She takes a breath and looks down at her fingers. "My mother was forced by bandits on our way back to the Elven Kingdom. When she found out she was pregnant with me, she confided in people she thought she trusted. Once the Elven government found out, they exiled her from the kingdom. They won't have other species intermingling with them. She died after giving birth to me. Damn, talk about a hellish life. I couldn't imagine a mother going through all that. Only a woman would be so willing to take care of her baby no matter what. Even exiled. I continue eating my steak some and I think of another question. Have you ever been to the Elven Kingdom before? I get not wanting to go, but your mother probably had family. She nods her head and sighs. Guess her family is just as bad. When they found out, they disowned my mother. All I have left of her is her diary. Reading about all of it was very hard. She looks very depressed. I would be too if I was trapped in a town like Tulak. It's beautiful and full of energy, don't get me wrong, but with so much action and attention there are problems. She probably has discrimination problems. I'd love to get out of here, but I work for my living. Without this job I'd have nothing. I wonder if she'd be open to coming with me. I'd like a person to talk to now that Hailey is gone and she doesn't seem nearly as annoying as her. It never hurts to ask. Time to make an official introduction. If she does decide to come with me, I'll tell her my angelic secret.